Otherwise, I'm in hot water tomorrow morning when I try posting that thing on the website. But this last week, the journey group session was focusing on God birthing a people. The session before that was really wrapping up chapter 1, dealing with the reality of sin, and Manna and Mercy had talked about particular ways in which sin expresses itself, and the Manna and Mercy has particular interest in some of the social dimensions of sin, not just a God and me kind of thing, and that's a major emphasis that the book provides. But I'm open to whatever you're interested in pursuing. There are various things that I can always pull in, but I'd much prefer to scratch you where you itch rather than set the agenda totally.
Well, we did chapter 2, so we might be on the wrong session.
No, chapter 2 is chapter 2 was basically session 4 that we've had.
Okay.
We took 3 weeks on chapter 1, and chapter 2 was actually the 4th session that we had. So
okay,
that should be we should all be on the same page, I think.
okay,
good.
Well, one question that we had was that in the video they were talking about how the pyramid would that the slaves, if they were redeemed, that would then collapse the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't 100% certain about what he meant by redeemed. Does that mean they go to a higher level? Does that mean what?
Good question.
Okay. What kinds of hints did you find from that? What was this? To be redeemed, does that mean you move up from the bottom level to another level up, or does it mean you get out of there and are freed from oppression in the process?
I guess the one thought I had, does that mean that the entire pyramid eventually collapses so that it's all one level? I guess I'm a very visual person, so I wanted to know, where did those people go? What did he mean by that they were redeemed, that they were no longer in the bottom layer?
Mm-hmm. Suzanne, in your group, did that issue come up for you?
We didn't really talk about about that way, but if I were going to guess, if I were going to take a guess on this myself, I would say that they'd move up to be ordinary people. I don't know. I don't know what else to think, because it's not like they're not going to vanish. And I don't know. We did talk about the groups, but and then we kind of got distracted with all that's going on in the world, and how we can't really ever get rid of this pyramid.
There are a lot of connections between what's going on in this world and what was being talked about. I'm going to share my screen here, and let me kind of pull this to another spot here, and yeah, specifically this. And with in Manna and Mercy, the figure on the left of the screen, the pyramid system in which the mass of people are held in slavery, and then you have other people who basically function because they're able to be higher up precisely because of the slaves at the bottom. And the person at the top, the Pharaoh, is the one who is able to be the ultimate beneficiary of things. Everything functions in order to serve the person on the top. With this, in the video provided some visuals of slaves disappearing from the bottom layer. And yes, the claim is made that when the slaves aren't there, the whole system falls apart. That provides some insight into what happens in the Exodus story when the Hebrew people leave Egypt, the people of Israel. The Pharaoh is the one who says, yeah, get out of here. He was experiencing too many difficulties from them. But what happens after he says, get out of here? What occurs next in that story?
They all left.
They left. And did the Pharaoh simply say, good riddance, and go on about?
Send his soldiers after him.
Okay, he changes his mind because if you don't have the slaves doing all the work there, the work doesn't get done.
There you go.
And so he sends the army out to round up the slaves again. And it's at that point that the incident at the Sea of Reeds, which is what the biblical text literally says. Most people hear of this as the Red Sea, but it literally says the Sea of Reeds. At that point, the people of Israel are able to get away, and when the Pharaoh's army tries chasing them down, they get bogged down, and there's a major defeat for the Pharaoh's army, and the scene basically concludes with a song in which Miriam and the women are leading a song about Yahweh triumphing gloriously, horse and rider, he is thrown into the sea. The change of mind that Pharaoh has at that point is precisely that issue that, hey, in order for the pyramid to work, people have to stay in their place. Now, right, if we want to take a look today at what's occurring in terms of the relationship between Russia and Ukraine, you have the Pharaoh, Putin, trying to extend his influence and have more people underneath him. And when there's resistance, and when the people in the middle levels don't end up doing what the person at the top thinks should be done, heads start rolling. There, in the last few days, I read a major article about some of the description of these figures on both sides of the Pharaoh here. the religious establishment supporting the pyramid system, and the military on the other side supporting the pyramid system. Major article about the patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church giving his blessing that Ukraine should be wiped out. And his endorsement of Putin's plan is right there. The military right now is supporting, carrying out Putin's plans, and we see that kind of structure on the left side of the screen being eerily present in terms of contemporary events. If we look at things in terms of our own country, there are people at the top, there are people at the bottom, and whenever people at the bottom want to be able to freely exercise their vote, or be able to have their representatives in governmental office, the pyramid system works especially hard to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because when that happens, it's not just individual people at the bottom that are affected. Those who are on those who are higher up in the pyramid all get affected, and they see their own position being undermined. And generally, anybody who is at a higher level, the way they interpret various things that occur, if the people at the bottom complain, the way they tend to interpret that is to say, oh, those people at the bottom want to move up the ladder and push us to the bottom so that they basically replace us, and so that they can be part of the pyramid system, continuing the pyramid system, and making sure that those who had been in power are the ones without power now. Okay, it's a zero-sum game from that particular perspective. They assume that any protest about difficulties in voting, or difficulties in terms of the way in which the tax system is set up, or the way in which social services are available, they assume that this is simply an attack on them rather than an expression by those at the bottom that, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have the system be fair? Wouldn't it be nice if people were treated on the same level? Now, if you take a look at these two pictures, okay, just visually, and for those of us who are visual learners, okay, the difference between this pyramid with all these different levels, funneling all the control to the top, and the picture on the right of the wilderness school, in which everybody is on the same level, that's a deliberate kind of image that Dan Erlander is trying to present, and giving a different image of how society, of how the world, how the universe could function. If we go back to thinking about how Manna and Mercy talked about the creation process, and emphasizing that in God's creating activity, God shares power. God doesn't retain all the power. Instead, each each part of God's creation has something to do. They are to be exercising their power for the benefit of the whole. And thus at the end of chapter 1 in Manna and Mercy, the emphasis on mending the universe, okay, being able to move from the pyramid way of looking at relationships, and being able to look at one another not as competitors that need to be defeated, but as partners with whom we can share and with whom we are able to share with God. That's the major push that Erlander is expressing there. The point of talking about redemption of those who are slaves, is not just talking about, well, the word redeem means to free, to liberate. Okay, that's what redemption means. And it's not just to redeem an individual, but it's to redeem the system and change the system to express God's creative intention for all things, all creatures, all people, in which things function in a harmonious whole. So that's what the intention of that is.
So we were kind of on the right track. In other words, to be redeemed eventually will flatten the entire pyramid. There won't be a pyramid.
Correct. That and obviously from human history, that has been something that has never been fully accomplished. It is an ideal, and to recognize that it is an ideal, but to recognize that ideal as basically an expression of God's intention for God's creatures.
Mhm.
That provides a way of thinking about how we should be function, how we can function. Is our goal to work our way up the pyramid so that we have more control, so that we have more power over people, so that they do what we say, what we want, rather than talking about the good of the whole. All idealizations are simplifications, for sure. And yet, the ideal provides a vision for how we function right now. It's not just something that to be continued sometime in the distant future, but the ideals, okay, are to shape how people live right now, how they interact with God, how they interact with others, how they interact with the rest of creation. And if you think back to that.
May I make
yes,
one comment? Oh,
absolutely.
one comment and one possible suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
The comment was that in our group, there was a lot of discussion about the fact, as it relates with the whole Russian situation, about the states and how you call them what you will, you know, this is the human side of things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation would be, Denny, that our group is struggling a little bit with knowing which way the discussions need to go. And I know for a fact that our teachers, our leader, our facilitator is a little frustrated. The
Well, I
video,
wouldn't say that.
well, she's a
I
little,
think that we're all struggling a little bit together because none of us are probably biblical scholars.
Mhm.
So sometimes the book is certainly an easy read and it presents the story in easy to understand terms, but it's also, if you don't have more knowledge about some of that topics, it kind of is almost like goes over our head, maybe, if that makes sense.
and the videos that you did, Denny, for the last Journey Group series were so helpful. And what you just said in the last few minutes was so helpful. I don't know. I don't know that I want to suggest that you do videos, for us to go to. And I wish that everybody in our group was here tonight online, hearing this, because it's really helped me what you just said. And I don't know what the suggestion is there, but I just want to share my thoughts.
Mhm. And I appreciate that. If I think one of the huge difficulties that is that most people will experience is that we've tended to learn the Bible, learn about the Bible in one particular kind of way. And that particular way has moved things in a particular direction. And what Manna and Mercy is doing, and what Alan Story is doing in his videos, is focus on things that have perhaps been missed. It's easy to get lost in the weeds in the Bible. There are so many subplots and so on. What Erlander is doing is zeroing in on, frankly, one major theme. And when he talks about manna and mercy, by golly, he's sticking with that all the way through. That God is one who provides manna. That's what is coming up this next week, or your next session, in which the basic principle of what occurs in the wilderness school is something that is being underscored. The series is going to keep coming back to that, and is going to keep reinforcing that. And I can well understand if that doesn't happen to catch the first time around, or the second time around, or the third time around. But by golly, it's coming around again. And my suggestion is to really focus particularly on the videos that are there. Frankly, all of the stuff is being emphasized there. And Alan Story is a person who keeps coming around to the same point again as well. But with that, I guess I'm encouraging you to have some patience as we continue on, and watch how this very simple strand kind of plays itself out.
Well, we previewed the next material
Okay.
day. And I
Uh-huh.
thought, we both thought it was probably the most enlightening
Mhm.
of the series so far, the video
Mhm.
so far,
Uh-huh. Yep.
particularly.
Yeah.
I know that there's some videos that we're not watching that are not part of the, official videos. Is watching the ones that we're not watching, is that helpful? Would that be helpful?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I've the videos that we're actually using most of the videos, and I'm doing some selecting there. But
Mhm.
when I've done the selecting, uh, it's usually because I felt that that particular video was not making the point as clearly as could be done, and would probably lead to more detours than it would be to keep us on the same path.
Okay.
One thing that uh, you might find helpful, and I'm saying this because I found it helpful as I've been working with this series. I end up watching these videos many times, and when I'm dealing with things at this point, a lot of times I'm back dealing with other videos previously as well. I rewatch those because very often there are points that are being made there that hey, when you encounter them the first time, you don't know the significance of what's there. But after you've gotten a few sessions in, oh, I see what he was doing. But if you don't go back and watch the videos again, you may simply have that miss you in the process. So to
That's a good idea.
recheck those, that may be a helpful kind of thing.
That would be good. I wish more people were participating in these Tuesday night sessions,
Yes.
because this has helped so much, and we really appreciate you doing this.
That's one recommendation I'm going to make, is that they follow this. If they can't join in on Tuesday night, they're posted up.
Right.
Watching, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I had hoped in making sure that we recorded them and had those available, so that people who, I mean, trying to find one time that everybody can be together, it's nearly impossible. And
Right.
doing it, a version that's live and a version that's recorded, that's perhaps the best kind of compromise that we can pull
Right.
on that kind of situation.
Okay, thank you. I had one question back to the pyramid again, because I'm the visual learner. It seems to me in some respects that the people at every level are enslaved in some way. And that's the whole idea of flattening it down so that there's no pyramid. We would do with the enslavement that we all have at whatever level we're in. Obviously, the bottom is the ones that are suffering the most, but even in the middle and even at the top, they're enslaved to something that's not a good thing.
Yes, that's a really excellent observation. During the height of the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr. was often very insistent that no, he was not trying to free Black people. Rather, he was trying to free everyone, that everybody is imprisoned in the system. And they just don't even realize that they're part of that, that system. I've, as I think about, political dynamics in our country, and looking at why certain things immediately get seized on and other things immediately get opposed. Looking at who's trapped in the system, and recognizing that, by golly, we're all trapped in there. We're fearful of those who have less than we do, who don't have our advantages, because, by golly, if our advantages are gone, what's going to happen?
Mhm.
And I mean, as I think over a rather extensive life at this point, the whole being able to look at various points in my life, and various reactions that I've had, I can see my protectiveness of my situation, and intellectually, I think I tried avoiding thinking that I was doing that.
Mhm.
But the more I look at the various events of my life, yeah, I'm afraid I'm trapped in that situation. There are things that I'm fearful of, and there are instant reactions that I have to certain kinds of things that, hey, those are reactions of someone who wants to stay in control and not have unpredictability
Mhm.
Yeah.
with that.
Well, I had years ago, I had a situation where there was an employee of a company I was affiliated with who was horribly abusing his common law wife. And every Monday was Black Eye Monday. I mean, it was horrendous. And it really weighed on me. And so finally, I basically said to her, I will help you escape this. Just tell me what we need to do, and it'll just happen. And we made it happen. And she was gone to Texas to her family. And in 2 weeks, she was back because it was what she knew. It was more familiar. She was less afraid of the unknown, apparently, than she was of this really bad situation she was in. That's
Yep.
part of the human condition.
Yes. That's an excellent example. Abusive relationships are things in which the person being abused has a terrible difficulty leaving those, because, yes, that's something that at least could be depended on. And it's a sad thing, but hey, that's the pyramid system functioning. I don't know. Have any of you seen the TV series? I think it's The Maid.
Yes, I have.
It's worth watching.
It's very good.
And there, back this fall, during a series that we did at St. Thomas dealing with housing problems in Columbus, housing shortages, and the difficulties of working the system in order to get help for those who are at the bottom.
Mhm.
one of the people in the session had mentioned that particular series, and my wife and I watched the whole thing thereafter, and wow, it was really, I think, a wonderful portrayal of just how many hoops we set up to make sure that people stay where they are.
Mhm.
And in that particular series, a woman is an abused woman, and she tries to leave, but by golly, she keeps getting sucked back in, and
And the system tries to keep her down 100%.
mhm. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Well, also the question that was, we had talked about too was, are there ways that we victimize other people? And, one common thing that all of us said that we've all done is just Americans have this big need to go and buy more stuff at whatever, the cheapest price that we can get. And by doing that, we've really victimized so many of the US manufacturers
And the workers.
and the workers. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, the workers.
Yeah.
And so that was a good question for us to be able to relate to, because we've all done that to one extent or another.
Mhm. Yes, I mean, when here in the United States, we purchase goods that are cheapest for us. Most of those are made out of the country by people who are very poorly paid, often by slave labor. There's a website that is very good for visualizing things, in which it basically asks, you go through a questionnaire, and it asks various questions about your lifestyle, okay, your income, particular kinds of products that you use, particular foods that you enjoy, and what it does at the end of this questionnaire, okay, it provides you with an indication of how many people are literally slaves to support you.
Wow.
I like to think of myself as a nice guy. My final score after going through that was that there are 56 slaves who make my lifestyle possible.
Wow.
56 slaves.
Wow.
Mind blowing.
What kind
Yeah.
of person are you, Denny?
Yes, I'm a slave owner. I mean, it really, and for me, as I was looking at the materials in last week's session dealing with the pyramid, I'm not sure how much of certain things that I had included in leaders' material got shared in the group, but I had asked the question about where we are on the pyramid, and building on some things that Alan Story had talked about, saying, hey, if we want to know where we are, Okay, the proper comparison is not comparing ourselves to American society. The proper comparison is ourselves to the world.
Mhm.
And when I'll just repeat some of the things here. If after our annual, if our annual after-tax family income is $100,000 a year, that puts us in the top 1% of people in the world.
Mhm.
We are at the top of the pyramid, the top 1%. If our after-tax annual income, this is family income, okay, and in this, it's assuming a 2-worker per family kind of thing. If our family income is $50,000 a year, we're in the top 5% of the world.
Mm.
If our after-tax annual income is $25,000, okay, which in the US is considered low income, that puts us in the top 14% in the world. I mean, that's just a striking kind of thing, and yet we don't feel wealthy because we compare ourselves to those who are around us. Oh, who are just like we are, and we know that there are people who make more money than we do, and therefore we pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, you know, I'm down here at the bottom of the pyramid. No, we're up at the top. And you know, one of the comments that Alan Story made was, you know, if you want to know how to get somewhere, you first have to know where you are.
You are here.
You are here. And you know, there are a lot of things that just business as usual conspires to put ourselves in the story at a different point. Hey, I want to identify with the Hebrew people escaping from slavery. I don't want to identify with the Pharaoh. But in that story, if I want to understand the biblical dynamics that are being talked about there, I'm with the Pharaoh.
Mhm.
And it's precisely that fact that within the American Civil Rights Movement, the whole image of the Exodus and being freed from slavery in Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, those motifs are so thoroughly part of the preaching style in Black congregations, because that's what fits their experience.
Right.
Mhm.
And yet, even there are more further down. But I mean, you have to deal with where you are first, and to hopefully experience that wilderness school, and as everyone, I hope will see in looking at the manna story and the wilderness school, in the dynamics that are present there, which go all the way through and become part of that phrase in the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. And it's not make me number one. Give me what is necessary. Give me enough to be able to share. Give me enough so that you come to me and that you come through me to other people. And I think that's the real challenge of being a Christian today. Very, very important.
One observation I made in class, I know we got to wrap up, but not only do we support slavery at one level or another in the world by the goods we purchase, but if we're environmentally sensitive, what we have to realize is that we're exporting mining and production to countries where they don't care and they have no effort to reduce. And so we are accelerating the deterioration of our planet by pushing the production to these countries. That concerns me a lot.
Yep. Yeah. And if we put environmental controls here in the US to keep our air clear, we just make sure it goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mitch. We're about ready to wrap up, but glad to have you here.
Mitch, I recommend you watch the replay of this. It was a very good session.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Mitch didn't realize he
I
was
didn't-
signing into a live session
Yeah,
here.
I thought we were watching the recording section. I'm so sorry.
Not
This is
a problem.
live.
That's hilarious. We were just reading our Manna and Mercy, and I said, "Well, let's watch the recording."
Well, last week there was no recording because there was no session. There was no one who showed up. But this particular session will be put up on the website tomorrow. You may need to poke your way through several levels. Although if you go back to the email from a couple weeks ago, I think it provided the link on the website, and that link will always get you into the
Is that
into
the
the
portal?
ballpark.
What's called the portal or whatever?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being part of the session tonight, and especially for your insights, Mitch. I just you kind of rounded off.
We're a little
Oh,
slow.
Allison.
The exclamation.
Sorry, we're a little slowed up here.
Suzanne, it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah.
So we'll do this again next week, and with some additional kinds of things. I encourage other folks to take a look at the video. Thanks so much, everyone, for being part of things tonight.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.